Hello, fans. This is Freckles here. I have a new project today. I'm going to call it Freckles Recommends. I was going to launch it on April Fool's Day, but then I didn't record it. And as with all of my content thus far, I have no interest in learning how to edit videos, so you are getting a one-take wonder of me talking. I'm going to be talking about a movie that I recommend, and I'm going to play Smash Bros in the background, so that way everyone who follows me for Smash Bros can still go, oh my god, Freckles, you're so good at Rosalita, and I'll be like, thank you. So we're going to be playing against the CPU while I talk. I'm hopefully going to keep Smash Bros in the background, but in trial runs, I've kind of struggled to stay on topic while I'm speaking and playing Smash Bros at the same time, so I might be pivoting to training mode if I'm really struggling to get my ideas across, but I'm just going to be talking about a movie that I recommend. It has some pretty adult themes, so if you're a kid or a child who watches my content, thank you. I really appreciate you watching my content, but maybe skip out on this video. Yeah. So I'm going to jump into it. And if this video is successful, I will continue the Freckles Recommends series. It doesn't necessarily mean views. It could just be creatively fulfilling for me or whatever. And I might make more. So if you're like, I loved watching this video, say nice things so I can consider it a success. Tell me it was thoughtful and thought-provoking and that it made you watch the movie. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's jump in. So the movie I'm recommending today is Cam. I watched it on Netflix, so if you want to watch it, I'd recommend it. That's the whole point of this series. Yeah. So Cam is a movie that is about a sex worker who is into camming specifically. So camming is a form of sex work where you basically live stream yourself doing not safe for work things. And the business model is like, I'll say lonely or horny men give you money and you kind of just do what they ask, but it is very much like you set rules for yourself and you follow them. So for example, some streams are like no full nudity, some streams have nudity. It really depends on what the person doing that cares about. So that is the context of this movie. And there are a lot of scenes of camming in the beginning of the movie, so be prepared for that if you decide to watch this movie. Alright, wonderful. So basically, it's a horror movie, and there's like a shock value scene in the beginning. I'm not going to spoil, although honestly just mentioning it is kind of spoiling it. But oh my god, we are terrible at Smash Bros. Okay, so that is the scene. Yeah, so there's a scene in the beginning, it's kind of intense, but rather early on, this person is really excited to, I honestly forgot their real name, which is kind of cruel because this is a movie that tries to acknowledge the humanity of sex workers, and I can't even remember their name. But their stage name is Lola, so I will be referring to them as Lola, even though they have a real name. So anyway, Lola is like super excited that she's almost at the top 50 of streamers. But then she is rudely sabotaged by a different streamer, so that way she doesn't actually like make it further than the top 50. And Lola is really disappointed at this. So she's like, I'm gonna put on a really fancy show. But then, if the show goes alright, but then afterwards, she can't log into her account. But the streams are still happening. So she can't log into her account, but the streams are still happening. There's like a doppelganger that looks just like her continuing the streams. And so the movie is about her trying to resolve that issue and all the wacky hijinks that ensue. So there are a lot of reasons why I like this movie, and I will break those down now. Wahoo! Sorry, that sentence was such a lame, empty sentence, but playing Smash Bros is hard. It's hard, actually. I usually end up taking more stocks than I lose, but I'm also not trying to like talk about a movie. Anyway, so that's what the movie's about. So that is probably If you're at all interested in the movie, at any point during my lovely review, just watch it. I promise it will be a good use of your time. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about things that I think of as spoilery. I would say that this movie thematically is about the rules we set for ourselves, the pressure that is placed on us to break those rules in order to achieve commercial success. So, the doppelganger. So, it is established early on that Lola has set rules for herself, things she has promised herself she will never do. And those things are: she will never fake an orgasm, she will never say I love you to her fans, and what was the third one? Oh, no public shows. So no streaming from a public place of like NSFW content. So this doppelganger shows up, and rather early on, the doppelganger starts breaking these rules that Lola has set for herself, these standards, which is tragic. Like, it's really frustrating. So Lola goes, oh, this isn't me, this isn't fair. And yeah, that's like the major theme about what the movie is. And I think that generalizes to a lot of things that aren't just sex work. Like if you're a salesperson who's selling something they don't actually believe in, regardless of what you're doing, you will eventually be forced to confront a decision in your career of, do I want to do something that I know will give me money, or do I want to uphold whatever moral standards I have set for myself? And again, I think that's a really interesting situation for a movie to explore. And for what it's worth, I think sex work is a really good, not medium, but it's a really a good career to use, because it's fairly extreme and personal, the rules we set for ourselves around sex and sexuality. So I think that makes it a really good choice of career for a movie examining these themes. And for what it's worth, to my knowledge, this movie was written by a sex worker, so it has fairly accurate, well, I hope it has fairly, I am not super familiar with the field, but to my knowledge, it has fairly accurate representations of what it's like. So that's neat, we appreciate that. Alright, so that's like the major theme about the movie and why it works. So now we're going to talk about some of the details that I really liked about this movie. So probably the thing I liked the most about this movie is, the more I thought about it, the more like sense it made. I would describe it as like a very cohesive movie. Like, most of the details had payoff, most of the details like worked out. So as an example, the way the doppelganger is eventually defeated is Lola tricks him. So the doppelganger will do anything for money. That's the whole point. It's the idea of selling out. It's betraying your values in order to make money. So Lola tricks the doppelganger by giving it money to, so like, I guess this might be a little back to the lame stuff, but like the doppelganger exists in the same space as Lola. It's using the same like room that she uses to stream everything. So she sets it up in such a way that she actually shows up on the doppelganger's stream, and they play a game where Lola will do something and then the doppelganger has to copy it, and whoever does a better job, as judged by the audience, will get a prize. So Lola, the doppelganger goes first and says I love you, which, if you remember, was one of the rules Lola set for herself. So she does it, she's playing along, but she obviously loses because that's something she promised herself she would never do. It's something she's very uncomfortable doing, and it shows. But the doppelganger, who has completely sold out all of its moral values, has no issue doing this and wins. So the doppelganger, who only cares about money, decides that as a reward for winning the challenge, Lola has to strip. Because, you know, that's why the people are watching. It'll get more money, it'll make things more exciting. So the next challenge, Lola starts hurting herself, which is a little triggering, to be perfectly honest. But she starts like banging her head against the desk until she starts bleeding. And the doppelganger copies her. And so, like, this is, I would say, more of a demonstration of humanity. So, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's cohesive. Like, that is something only a human can do. It's not something that fits the artifice that you were trying to present as a sex worker. I would hope. You know, there might be people, you might find a niche if you do that super well. But regardless, it is agreed that Lola wins that challenge. And she says, oh, my prize is the password. And the doppelganger is hesitant to give up the password to her account. For reasons that are obvious. But Lola goes, stop tipping. This isn't fair. Stop giving her money until she gives me the thing that I want. And because the doppelganger only cares about money, the doppelganger gives the password back to Lola. And she is able to delete her account and, you know, go back to living her life. So, let's talk about what that means on a more symbolic level. Symbolically, Lola was forced to examine herself, look at the person she had become, and assert that that is not someone she wants to be. Like, that is fundamentally how it was defeated. And I think it's just such a wonderful way to marry themes with, I don't know, claims about, like, how it's done, I guess. That sounded like such a nothing sentence. It's just, like, so beautiful to see a movie have a theme and execute it beautifully. Like, have something to say about the theme. Like, say, this is really scary, but, like, you can overcome, like, selling out your morals by examining yourself and figuring out, going, this is not the person I wanted to be. And I think that's a really cool message for a horror movie to take. So, that's a detail I really liked. And that's just how I like to analyze movies, to be honest. When I watch movies, I tend to be like, oh, what is it actually about? Especially with horror, because I am someone who gets frightened rather easily. So I find that thinking about what the movie's trying to say keeps me distracted, so I don't get scared as easily. Anyway, so that's my thoughts about, like, what the movie, one of the details I really appreciated. So let's talk about another one. So, rather early on, there's a character, I believe their username is Tink. I think his real name is Anthony. This is so cruel. How can I forget the protagonist, but remember, like, the terrible men? Whatever. We'll call him Anthony. If I'm wrong, that sucks. If you've watched the movie, you'll know who I'm talking about. So I'm not especially worried about it. Oh my god. Smash Bros is hard, guys. Oh my god. I promise I'm good at this game. It's actually just hard to talk at the same time. Regardless, we got Anthony. Anthony's cool. He's not cool. So Anthony is someone who was completely aware of this. So the doppelganger actually has taken a lot of women's channels. I don't think this movie actually portrays any male sex workers, so kind of a bummer, but whatever. That's the world we live in. Regardless, back to the point. So Anthony reveals that, like, after, like, being on this website for a certain amount of time, he can usually tell when a girl changes, is the way he frames it. And now that we've, like, established that the doppelganger is betraying the values you set for yourself in order to get more money, it sort of comes into picture why he cares about this. So Anthony is kind of a stalker. He eventually showed up to this is so terrible. I can't remember Lola's name. Maybe it's, I don't think it's Sarah. Maybe it is. Regardless, Anthony shows up to Lola's real life, kind of just, like, moves to the same town that Lola's in, and is not great. So, like, anyway, he reveals that he can kind of tell when a woman is kind of becoming a sellout. And so he explicitly moves there and is like, I'm here to save you from this. He wants to be Lola's knight in shining armor, come in and rescue her from this otherworldly demon, of course. It's not really an otherworldly demon, which I appreciate. It just looks like Lola the whole time. Again, easily frightened over here. Horror is a genre that I have struggled with for a while, but we're getting more into it. If that's you, you should watch Cam. Yes, Freckles Recommends. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I got distracted by Smash Bros. Okay, so we were talking about Tink/Anthony. Yes, so he comes into Lola's life with the goal of rescuing her from whatever this doppelganger thing is. So she eventually finds him in real life and goes, oh my god, there's like this doppelganger, can you help me? And Anthony's really excited at this. That was the whole plan. Sorry, I'm kind of going out of order. In the movie, it's revealed later. I lack the dramatic storytelling abilities right now. We're working on it. We're working on it. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a break from Smash Bros. So I can talk about this a little bit better. So, Anthony's goal is to save Lola from this doppelganger. He knew it was coming because he has a lot of experience watching women betray their values. And Lola sees him in real life and is like, oh my god, what's happening? I see that you're subscribed to all these women who are also doppelgangers. Lola kind of connects some dots and finds out that other women are being affected by this. Because again, it's something that every person is going to be forced to confront, whether they want to stay true to their values or whether they want to follow the money. And so, like, Lola sees him in real life, and he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna help. So Lola does not feel safe in her own home at this point in the movie because there are live streams from her house, which is rather frightening. So she's staying with this man, and at one point he goes to the bathroom and starts watching the fake doppelganger and is, you know, doing what a man would probably, what you would expect a man to be doing while watching an NSFW stream. And Lola gets super mad. Lola's like, what the fuck? Why are you watching this doppelganger when I'm like right here? Like, you're supposed to be helping me. And this man is like, it's research, I promise. And so early on, when she's in his house, it's kind of established that this is a man of faith, a man who feels very guilty about his consumption of porn. So I think his character is fascinating. He is fundamentally a person who justifies his porn consumption by saying he's interested in saving these women, but in reality, he's not. He likes seeing women who sell themselves out. He likes seeing people who are willing to cross their, like, he is kind of the client that these people, like, that sellouts want, because if you're willing to betray your values and you're willing to do whatever it takes for money, this man clearly has money, so he's able to sort of, like, get what he wants, which is some level of, like, guilt-free porn, and he does that by promising himself that he is trying to save these women from the fate that they're in. But has no actual interest in doing so. When actually given the choice to meet the real Lola, like the person behind the screen. Again, so terrible I don't remember this person's name. Like, oh my god. Can we just pretend that I'm like, alright, like, I'm just bad with names, I promise. Like, he is presented with the opportunity to meet the person behind the curtain and genuinely be, like, live out the fantasy of saving this person. And he doesn't. He chooses not to. He prefers the screen version. And I think that's rather telling to some degree about what it's like to work in sex work. Which, I don't know. I just like that character. He's interesting to me. There's another like really terrible man Lola encounters. In my opinion, not as exciting to watch. It's genuinely just like gross. It's a person who really objectifies women, views them as objects. Like, he talks about winning a raffle with 2 women, and one of them didn't show up, and he's like, but Lola's like, oh my god, I really like Blossom. Like, love her. She's so good at her job. But this man is just like, I didn't get the other one, as if he's trying to collect them. And he's just scummy. I mean, you're supposed to hate him. He also is like, I helped all these women succeed. And it's like, no, like, I guess you did. Like, you gave them money, but like, no. You're not the reason why these women were successful. These women are successful because they're creative, they're clever, and they're like bringing stuff to the table. They're the ones doing things. And speaking of details, I really appreciate, like, so Lola, in her quest to make it to the top 50, has a calendar with all of her plans in it. And one of them is like a 7 Deadly Sins week. And it's just like all these like creative ideas on how to get better at her job. Like, she clearly puts a lot of effort in. And that's like, great. Ugh, I always hate when you do like a tech wall and then air dodge to the stage and then you get punished for it. Sorry, that was a Smash Bros. Line. But like, that's a detail that I think was really important to the movie. Like, this movie respects sex workers. And I think that's a really interesting portrayal to see. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the other like terrible man that you encounter. I don't like him. I mean, you're not supposed to like him. And I don't find him as interesting. He feels more one-dimensional in what he's trying to say. So that's tragic. Alright, so now I did take like a few notes about the things I wanted to talk about. So I'm looking at that. The last thing I want to talk about is my least favorite part of the movie. The thing that I feel like is under-examined. Oh my god, we are terrible at Smash Bros. So, I suppose I should share my opinion on sex work really fast. I would consider myself pro-sex work. However, I think that what is really shitty is when people are forced into it via economic circumstance instead of a choice that they make for themselves. Like when their economic reality forces them to do this. And this movie does kind of address it because, like in the end, the very end, Lola decides that she wants to continue to do sex work. Again, I feel so bad for not remembering her actual name. Like, I'm remembering all these, like, minor detailed character names. And it's just like, ugh, whatever. Regardless. So, this movie does talk about that. Through a character, I'm pretty sure is named Katie. Katie works at a convenience store. And it seems like they were friends in high school. And they're like, oh, how's it going? And Katie clearly does not like her job. It's clearly a job where she's underpaid and overworked. And I feel like Katie is there to present, like, this is where our protagonist would be if she didn't get into this field. And our protagonist is genuinely, like, renting a house and, like, is pretty financially successful, which is really handy. We love financial success. So I feel like that's like a touch of economic circumstances and reality. And then at the very end of the movie, even after all of this, Lola is like, I'm going to make another account, start fresh, and we're going to do it again. And part of it's like, oh, I'm so empowered. I think sex work is for me. And another part of it is like, I think that that's what the movie was going for, is a bit more of like empowerment of like, this work is still valuable, and we shouldn't judge people who are doing it. But another message is like, if you've spent your whole life developing these skills, what are you supposed to do? Like, that's another I don't want to spoil another Freckles Recommends, so we'll save that comment for later. But yeah, like what is one supposed to do if they're like all their skills, everything that they've learned how to do is in sex work? You don't really have a choice to like pivot into another career. And that can be really frustrating, particularly if sex work was not a career that you chose for yourself, if you were forced into it via economic circumstance or worse. But again, this movie is focused on sort of like a middle class sex worker, not someone who's super struggling financially, which is, you know, a story worth telling, but yeah. So that is probably the thing I disliked the most, is it didn't feel like it did acknowledge it, but it didn't acknowledge it as thoroughly as it could. And again, I think that's fine, particularly if you're trying to have like a positive representation of sex work. It is really not great to look at the harsh economic realities that could drive someone who does not want to. Like, this is fundamentally someone who likes, to a degree, like likes their job, enjoys it. And I guess I can give another example. So, as mentioned, there are other women who were taken over by the doppelganger. One of the top streamer, named Baby, early on in the movie, it is criticized that Baby doesn't even like take care of her viewers. Like, she doesn't even like respond to her viewers. And she's like, how does she get to do this? It's because she only like cares about the viewers who give her lots of money. Like, she doesn't build relationships with men. She doesn't like do the parts of the job that are, I would assume, fulfilling. I don't know, more engaging. And I again, like, there is to a degree a model of like it's possible to do sex work without selling yourself out, which I know I'm unsure if there is a client that isn't shitty to work with. I don't think the movie... There might have been one. But again, all the usernames kind of blur together. Oh, okay. Things I liked about it from a filmmaking perspective. That's another... Sorry, we're at the miscellaneous thoughts part of my movie. Something I really liked about this movie, again, is despite being a movie that takes place online, most of the conflict is like, oh my god, my live stream was hacked. So despite most of, like, the core conflict happens online, even scenes that are mostly offline still feel like they have a lot of tension. And I think that's impressive to do. I really appreciate that. I think that's impressive. So, again, it's never too late to watch the movie, even if you're like, oh, I already heard everything. I left some details out. There are some saucy details. And again, I think this movie like is really cohesive with all the details. It comes together to tell a cohesive story. So, yeah, that's my summary. Let me should I give it a rating? If this movie was in Rosalina's kit, I would give it a Smash Ultimate up air. Not like a Smash 4 up air, but like a Smash Ultimate up air. Like, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really good movie. It's not like as good as it, like, it's not like perfect, but it was really good and I really enjoyed it. So, yeah. If you were at all interested in this video, leave a comment. You know, I don't really care. I'm making this because I thought it was a fun movie and I wanted to share my thoughts with someone. So, congratulations. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. And for that, I think I'm gonna finish out the Smash. We'll throw in a little bit of Smash Bros, I suppose, just because like we're here, we're gaming. You feel free to leave. I'm just gonna play Smash Bros. I'll try to commentate a little bit. I play against Falcon CPUs a lot, so it's something I'm like pretty good at. Is like knowing their habits. I hope. God, he's just like running around like a maniac. Okay, so we're just gonna try to juggle. Oh, people should not air dodge, I swear to God. Okay, when I say that comment, the risk reward on air dodge is Like if Rosalina tries to punish someone for not air dodging, it's really punishing because you double jump and then if they air dodge, you are kind of screwed. Like you just lost your advantage state. So it's almost always a situation where you want to read the air dodge. Ah! Wow, that was actually a pretty good pivot down tilt. I haven't played this game since the last tournament I went to, which was a few weeks ago. So I don't play this game super regularly right now. Perhaps I should, but I am looking to start doing other things with my life. Ugh. So I might be doing some more like non-Smash content. We'll see. That's like a really cute gimmick you can do. It doesn't work on most people who have like experience playing Rosa. That was a really weird Luma shot. I would not recommend it. Honestly, it was kind of weird. I liked it, actually. That Luma shot was kind of cool. If I had, like, been closer to Luma when I had done my up B, it actually would have been a really good position, because Luma would have been, like... Let me demonstrate, actually. So Luma was, like, here. Oh! In my head, Luma would have... It's genuinely like, oh my god, this is so hard to show. Yeah, it would have been like that. That's about the angle I think we could have sent Luma at, which I think a lot of players would struggle to punish. So, like, if you ever see a Rosa do this... God, this is a teaching moment. If you ever see a Rosa do this, you can just, like exactly what the Falcon did there. And a lot of characters will be able to kill Luma. Or F-tilt when Luma's, like, sliding back onto the stage. It's not, like, the strongest option that Rosa has. Perhaps I should be more cognizant of how much health Luma has, because if he's at full health, I don't think a lot of characters can punish a D-tether Luma at full health. I thought that Luma shot was going to hit. Alright, again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Yeah, hope you have a lovely rest of your day.